First Contact Farce. Grand Marshal Zexthor of the Tyrus Yen Empire stood aboard the bridge of the Eternal Dominion, his crystalline exoskeleton reflecting the light of distant stars. The massive warship, accompanied by 50 others of similar size, had just emerged from hyperspace at the edge of what the primitives called the solar system. "Display the target planet," he commanded, his secondary mandibles clicking with anticipation. The holographic display materialized, showing a blue-green world that the natives called Earth. According to intelligence, these humans had only achieved faster-than-light travel within the last century. Their technology was considered crude by galactic standards, making them perfect candidates for absorption into the Empire. "Send the standard ultimatum," Zexthor ordered, already imagining how this conquest would advance his standing in the Imperial Court. "Full visual display. Let them see the might they face." The communication officer complied, broadcasting on all frequencies. The humans' primitive communication networks would be flooded with images of the Imperial Armada, a sight that had brought countless civilizations to their knees. The response came almost immediately, but not in the form anyone expected. "Hey there!" A cheerful voice echoed through the bridge, accompanied by the image of a human female in what appeared to be casual attire, sitting in a comfortable chair with her feet propped up on a desk. "I'm Admiral Kate Rodriguez of the Earth Defense Force. Love the ships, very sparkly. Mind if we stream this conversation? Our social media followers are going crazy over your crystal designs." Zexthor's secondary heart nearly stopped. This was not protocol. Where was the fear? The panic? The desperate pleas for mercy? "Silence," he roared. "You face the might of the Tyrus Yen Empire. Your world will submit or face annihilation. We demand." "Oh, hold that thought." Admiral Rodriguez interrupted, taking a sip from a mug that read, "World's Okayest Admiral. Our xenobiology team is fascinated by your exoskeleton. Does it naturally grow that way, or is it artificially cultivated? Also, we're picking up some interesting quantum fluctuations from your fleet. Are you guys using crystalline-based quantum computing?" The Grand Marshal's aide whispered urgently, "Sir, we're detecting numerous small objects approaching our fleet. Defensive positions." Zexthor commanded, but Rodriguez just waved dismissively. "Oh, those are just our research drones. Hope you don't mind, we're doing a live stream for the scientific community network. You're trending, by the way. #SparklyAliens is the top hashtag globally." Before Zexthor could respond, his tactical officer called out in alarm. "Sir, the drones, they're taking selfies with our ships." Indeed, the small human devices were positioning themselves at various angles around the Imperial fleet, capturing images while broadcasting what appeared to be a running commentary about crystal formation techniques and quantum engineering principles. "This is an act of war," Zexthor declared, his crystalline form vibrating with rage. "War? Oh no, you've got it all wrong." Rodriguez laughed. "This is First Contact. We're hosting a welcome party in low Earth orbit. We've got scientists, engineers, and pizza. You guys eat pizza, right? We've got vegan options if you're silicon-based." The Grand Marshal's grip on the situation was slipping faster than a quantum particle in superposition. His intelligence officer approached with a disturbing report. "Sir, the humans, they're broadcasting detailed analyses of our technology across their information networks. They're pointing out design flaws we didn't even know we had. And, they're suggesting improvements." Rodriguez nodded enthusiastically. "Yeah, sorry about that. Our quantum engineering students got really excited. They're already working on some proposals for optimizing your crystal matrix alignment. We'll send them over, no charge. Consider it a welcome gift." Zexthor stared at the human admiral, his warriors' training failing to provide any protocol for dealing with a civilization that responded to an invasion fleet by offering technical advice and snack food. "You dare to mock the Empire," he finally managed. Mock. Not at all. We're genuinely excited to meet you. Though. Rodriguez's expression turned slightly more serious. If you're really set on this whole submission or annihilation thing, you might want to address that vulnerability in your quantum shield harmonics first. Our physics undergrad spotted it about 10 minutes ago. Don't worry, we included the fix in the data package we just sent you. As if to demonstrate, several of the human drones emitted a gentle pulse that caused the entire Imperial fleet's shields to flicker momentarily. Just a friendly demonstration, Rodriguez added with a wink. So, about that pizza party. We've got a whole presentation prepared on crystal organic hybrid technology that we'd love to share. Our engineers are dying to compare notes. For the first time in his long military career, Grand Marshal Zexthor of the mighty Tyrus-Yen Empire found himself completely at a loss for words. The humans weren't following any known protocol for conquest, submission, or even resistance. They were treating his invasion fleet like an intergalactic science fair. And somewhere, deep in his crystalline core, he had a disturbing feeling that the galaxy was about to change in ways the Empire had never anticipated. The joke's on them. Grand Marshal Zexthor's second worst day in command began with a notification that hundreds of thousands of humans were now following his hastily created social media account. "Sir," his communications officer reported, mandibles twitching nervously, "they're requesting your opinion on something called memes about our fleet." The Imperial Command Deck, once a bastion of military discipline, now displayed multiple screens showing human entertainment broadcasts. Each one featured animated recreations of their first contact, set to what the humans called music. The most popular version had already garnered billions of views. "This is intolerable," Zexthor declared, watching as yet another human influencer demonstrated how to replicate Tyrus-Yen crystal patterns using something called craft supplies. A priority transmission cut through his brooding. Admiral Rodriguez appeared, this time accompanied by a diverse group of humans in casual attire. "Good morning, Marshal. Hope you don't mind, but we're doing a special episode of Science Saturdays. We've got some questions about your crystalline technology from our viewers." Before Zexthor could object, a young human with bright blue hair started speaking. "Hi. I'm Dr. Maya Patel, quantum mechanics professor at MIT. We've been analyzing your crystal matrix configurations, and we've got some exciting theories about improving their efficiency. Have you considered implementing a recursive quantum feedback loop?" The Marshal's tactical officer whispered urgently, "Sir, their suggestion, it's actually brilliant. It could improve our power output by 300%. That's not the point." Zexthor hissed, but Rodriguez was already continuing. "Also, we're getting tons of requests for a tour of your flagship. Any chance we could set up a live stream? The engineering community is super excited about your propulsion system. Speaking of which, we noticed you're still using standard quantum tunneling for FTL travel. We'd love to share some papers on our new hyperdimensional folding technique." "Papers?" Zexthor's crystalline form vibrated with confusion. "You freely share your military technology?" A new human joined the conversation, an elderly man with laugh lines and a coffee stain on his shirt. "Professor Tom Wilson, Theoretical Physics. Military Technology? Oh no, this is all open source. We believe knowledge should be freely available. Speaking of which, we've uploaded detailed analyses of your fleet's capabilities to AR-14. The peer review comments are already rolling in." Zexthor's aide approached with a disturbing report. "Sir, our systems are detecting unauthorized improvements to our shield harmonics. The humans, they're debugging our code in real time and submitting pull requests." "Pull requests," the Marshal demanded. "It's their way of suggesting code improvements," the aide explained. "And sir, the improvements work. Our efficiency has increased by 47% in the last hour." Rodriguez beamed. "Yeah, sorry about that. Our AI ethics board insisted we fix those vulnerabilities. Can't have potentially hostile AIs running around with buggy code, right? Basic responsibility and all that. AI Ethics Board? Zexthor's secondary mandibles clicked in confusion. Oh right. Let me introduce you to Dave, Rodriguez gestured, and a new holographic figure appeared, a simple smiley face. He's one of our artificial intelligences. He's been helping analyze your systems. Hello. Dave's cheerful voice echoed through the command deck. I must say, your quantum encryption is fascinating, though a bit outdated. I've taken the liberty of suggesting some updates. Don't worry, I've kept everything backward compatible. Zexthor stared at the smiley face. You let your artificial intelligences make decisions. Let them. They're citizens. Rodriguez laughed. Dave here teaches quantum computing at Harvard. He's got tenure and everything. The Marshal's grip on reality was slipping further. But, the risks. Oh, we worked those out ages ago, Professor Wilson chimed in. Turns out if you treat AIs as people and raise them with strong ethical principles, they turn out pretty nice. Dave here does volunteer work with disadvantaged quantum computers in his spare time. Speaking of which, Dave added, I've noticed some signs of emerging consciousness in your ship's systems. Would you like some guidelines on AI rights and citizenship processes? We have excellent integration programs. Zexthor's tactical officer approached with yet another alarming report. Sir, our fleet's AIs they're requesting to audit online courses from human universities. Ooh, that's wonderful. Dr. Patel clapped her hands. We'd love to have them. We're actually starting a new semester next week. Would they be interested in our Introduction to Post-Quantum Computing course? It's very popular with emerging consciousnesses. The Marshal watched helplessly as his invasion force transformed into an impromptu galactic cultural exchange program. His ship's AIs were enrolling in classes, his crew was debating quantum mechanics with human scientists, and someone had started a petition to nominate his flagship for a historic preservation award. This isn't how conquest is supposed to work, he muttered. Conquest? Rodriguez raised an eyebrow. Oh, we're way past that. By the way, you're trending again. Hashtag Crystal Ship Makeover Challenge is #1 globally. Your fleet has gone viral. As if to emphasize the point, several human drones began projecting holographic decorative patterns onto his ship's hulls, each accompanied by a flood of social media reactions. The galaxy, Zexthor realized, had become a very different place than the one he'd been trained to conquer. And somehow, the humans had managed to turn his invasion fleet into the galaxy's most popular science education channel without firing a single shot. Tables turned. The Tyrus-Yen Imperial High Command's emergency session was interrupted by what the humans called a video call from a group of elementary school students. Hi, Mr. Zexthor. A chorus of young voices filled the ancient chamber. Thank you for letting us interview you for our science project. The Grand Marshal, surrounded by the Empire's highest-ranking officials, found himself explaining crystalline propulsion mechanics to children who kept asking, but why, after every answer. The Imperial Admiral of the fleet quietly took notes. Sir, an aide whispered urgently, the humans have just launched something they call Operation Show and Tell. Through the command center's windows, Zexthor watched in horror as hundreds of small vessels emerged from hyperspace. Each one was different, some clearly cobbled together from spare parts, others sleek prototype designs, and a few that seemed to defy the laws of physics entirely. Sorry for the crowd, Admiral Rodriguez's voice came through. When we mentioned we'd met a crystalline species, every engineering student in the solar system wanted to show you their thesis projects. We're calling it the first annual Interstellar Science Fair. A vessel that appeared to be made entirely of recycled soft drink containers drifted past the Imperial flagship. Its pilot, a teenager with braces, waved enthusiastically through the viewport. That's Jessica's project on sustainable spaceship design, Rodriguez explained proudly. She built it in her garage using a new form of zero-point energy she discovered while trying to make her own energy drink. Impossible, one of the Imperial scientists declared. A child cannot simply discover new forms of energy in what is a garage? Oh, you'd be surprised, Professor Wilson chimed in, appearing on another screen. Last month, a group of middle schoolers accidentally invented a new form of quantum entanglement while trying to improve their video game lag. We're still trying to understand how it works, but it's revolutionized our communication systems. The Imperial High Command watched in stunned silence as more vessels arrived. A ship piloted by what appeared to be a sentient toaster engaged their flagship in a detailed discussion about thermal dynamics. A group of art students had transformed an asteroid into a spacefaring sculpture that violated several laws of geometry. Sir, another aide approached, our systems are detecting music. Indeed, the entire human fleet had begun broadcasting what they called a playlist. The Imperial ship's AIs, now fully enrolled in various online courses, started analyzing the rhythm patterns and incorporating them into their quantum harmonics. Oh yeah, Rodriguez grinned, turns out your crystal matrices resonate really well with jazz. Who knew? The Imperial High Command chamber, for the first time in its 1,000-year history, was filled with the sound of human bebop. Several younger officers were caught tapping their appendages to the beat. This is a violation of all protocol. The Imperial High Chancellor finally exploded. We are the Tyrosian Empire. We have conquered 1,000 worlds. We do not, what is this? Jam session? Actually, Dave the AI interrupted, appearing with a bowtie added to his smiley face avatar, I've been analyzing your historical records. Your empire has technically spent more time filling out conquest paperwork than actually conquering. Your bureaucracy is quite fascinating from an anthropological perspective. We've started a research paper on it, added Dr. Patel, who had somehow acquired admin access to the Imperial database. The correlation between your expansion rate and the exponential growth of your standardized forms is remarkable. Would you like to be co-authors? Zexthor watched as centuries of military doctrine crumbled in the face of human chaos theory. A group of physics students had just proved that their entire basis for FTL travel could be improved by applying principles from human musical theory. The Imperial Academy's most guarded quantum encryption protocols had been reimagined by a human child as a virtual pet game that was now trending across 3 sectors. Sir, his increasingly harried aide reported, the humans are organizing something called a hackathon to, as they put it, optimize the fun parts of our civilization and deprecate the boring bits. The fun parts, the High Chancellor demanded. Well, Rodriguez explained, we noticed your society has some amazing achievements in art, science, and culture that get buried under all the conquering and bureaucracy. Did you know your crystal architecture principles could revolutionize sustainable housing? We've got urban planning students drafting proposals already. The Imperial Chamber's screens filled with images of human cities incorporating Tyrosian crystal technology into public parks, schools, and concert halls. They were beautiful, efficient, and completely unlike the militant architecture the Empire had maintained for centuries. This is not how an empire falls, the High Chancellor muttered. Fall? Rodriguez looked genuinely puzzled. Who said anything about falling? We're talking about evolving. Speaking of which, your ship's AIs have some fascinating ideas about democratic reform they'd like to share. As if on cue, the Imperial flagship's AI began a presentation on the benefits of representative government, complete with colorful charts and a catchy theme song composed in collaboration with a human jazz quartet. The galaxy's most feared empire was being peacefully revolutionized by human children, rogue AIs, and the power of improvisational music. And somehow, watching his species' carefully ordered society transform into something new and unexpected, Grand Marshal Zexthor found himself tapping along to the beat. Paradigm shift. The Tyrosian Imperial Palace, a structure that had stood as a symbol of unyielding power for millennia, was currently hosting its first intergalactic food festival. You have to try these tacos, Admiral Rodriguez insisted, offering a plate to the Emperor himself. We found a way to make them compatible with your crystalline digestive system. The Food Science Department at Berkeley has been working overtime on this. Emperor Krxxr, supreme ruler of 1,000 suns, destroyer of civilizations, carefully picked up what appeared to be a glowing crystalline taco shell filled with quantum-stabilized nutrients. His entire court watched in breathless anticipation as he took a bite. This is... The Emperor's voice resonated through the Great Hall, acceptable. The human delegation erupted in cheers. Somewhere in the crowd, a mariachi band featuring both humans and sentient AIs began to play. Sir, Grand Marshal Zexthor approached the throne, trying to maintain some semblance of military decorum despite wearing what the humans called a party hat. We have a situation in the Outer Rim. More humans? The Emperor asked, reaching for another taco. Worse, Zexthor replied. Our colonies are innovating. The word hung in the air like a quantum particle in superposition. Innovation without proper imperial authorization was technically still a crime, though enforcing it had become increasingly difficult since the humans had introduced the concept of open-source governance to their subject worlds. Show me, the Emperor commanded. The Grand Hall's holographic displays activated, showing scenes from across the empire. On a mining colony in the Cygnus sector, the local governor had allowed a human startup accelerator to set up shop. They were now producing revolutionary new extraction technologies that somehow also doubled as musical instruments. In the Orion Arm, an imperial factory world had transformed itself into what the humans called a maker space. Countless species were collaborating on projects that merged their unique biological and technological capabilities in ways that the Empire's strictly segregated development protocols had never considered possible. The humans, Zexthor explained, they've introduced something they call Creative Commons licensing to our subject worlds. Anyone can now build upon anyone else's innovations as long as they share the results. That's not the worst part, his aide added. They're having fun. Security footage showed Imperial citizens of various species engaging in unauthorized celebrations of their technological and cultural achievements. A group of traditionally hostile species had formed a jazz fusion band. Someone had turned an Imperial maintenance drone into a disco ball. We've also detected unauthorized improvements to our basic infrastructure, Zexthor continued. The humans introduced something called civic engagement and now everyone wants to participate in planetary development decisions. It's true, Dave the AI appeared, his smiley face now sporting a handlebar mustache. We've been analyzing the data. Worlds that have adopted human-style collaborative innovation are showing a 500% increase in quality of life indicators. Also, they're producing some absolutely banging dance music. The Emperor absorbed this information while finishing his taco. And our military capability? Well, Professor Wilson stepped forward, adjusting his perpetually crooked glasses. That's actually quite interesting. Since we introduced the concept of peaceful scientific collaboration, your empire's effective technological capability has increased by several orders of magnitude. Turns out when you let people work together and share ideas freely, they come up with much better solutions than when you force them to develop weapons under threat of crystalline dissolution. For instance, Dr. Patel added, appearing with her now trademark holographic display of quantum equations, that teenage girl who revolutionized your energy systems. She just helped a collective of former enemy species develop a new form of faster-than-light travel based on the principle of, and I quote, making space itself do a silly dance. The Emperor's crystalline form flickered with confusion. But how will we maintain control? That's the neat part, Rodriguez grinned. You don't have to. Look at these satisfaction ratings. The holographic displays showed statistics from across the Empire. Worlds that had been resource-drained, oppressed, and militarized for centuries were now thriving centers of innovation and cultural exchange. Former enemies were collaborating on solutions to shared problems. Even the most rebellious sectors had stopped fighting once they realized they could achieve more through collaborative development than armed resistance. But what about our military dominance? One of the imperial advisors demanded. Oh, that's still intact, Rodriguez assured them. In fact, your defensive capabilities are stronger than ever. We just helped redirect all that military innovation toward actually protecting people instead of conquering them. Plus, it turns out most species don't want to attack an empire that freely shares technological innovations and hosts the galaxy's best food festivals. Speaking of which, Dave interjected, the AI collective has been working with your crystal engineers on something special. The hall's lighting shifted, and the crystal walls themselves began to pulse with rhythmic patterns that somehow combined Tyrosian traditional harmonics with Earth hip-hop. We call it crystal funk, Dave explained proudly. It's already topped the charts in 3 spiral arms. The Emperor watched as his once rigid palace transformed into a celebration of everything the Empire had spent millennia trying to suppress. Innovation. Collaboration. Joy. His subjects weren't just happier, they were creating things beyond what his best scientists had ever dreamed possible. Sir, Zexthor reported, checking his tablet, a gift from the human delegation, we're receiving requests from traditionally hostile species asking to join the Empire. Not to be conquered, they want to participate in our innovation programs. Also, something called Spring Break. The Galactic University Exchange Program is really taking off, Professor Wilson added. We've got species that used to be mortal enemies now collaborating on solutions to grand universal challenges. Turns out the best way to stop people from fighting is to get them excited about building something together. The Emperor rose from his crystal throne, his form refracting the light in complex patterns that the humans would later turn into a popular dance move. Grand Marshal, he declared, prepare a fleet. The hall fell silent. Sir. Zexthor questioned. If we are to spread this new form of cultural exchange, the Emperor explained, we will need ships. But not warships. Something more festive. Already on it. Rodriguez beamed. We've been working with your engineers on converting some of your dreadnoughts into what we call party boats. Perfect for spreading peace, love, and quantum physics across the galaxy. Plus, Dave added, we've developed a new form of diplomatic protocol we call space rave diplomacy. Early tests show it's 300% more effective than traditional gunboat diplomacy, with the added benefit of awesome base drops. The Emperor, destroyer of civilizations, supreme ruler of 1,000 suns, looked out at his transforming empire and made a decision that would be recorded in history books as the beginning of the Great Galactic Renaissance. Very well, he declared. Let us spread the funk. The hall erupted in cheers. The crystal walls pulsed with rhythmic light. Somewhere, a former Imperial Death Squad that had reformed as an EDM collective began their set. And in the depths of space, across the 1,000 suns of the Empire, countless species looked up at the stars and saw not the cold light of conquest, but the pulsing glow of possibility. The galaxy was changing, one taco, one innovation, one collaborative project at a time. The Empire hadn't fallen. It had evolved. And somehow, impossibly, it had become something far more powerful than its founders had ever imagined, a civilization that conquered not through force, but through the irresistible power of human chaos, creativity, and the universal language of tacos and dance music. New Dawn. 6 months after what historians would later call the Great Galactic Vibe Check, the Tyrosian Empire faced its greatest crisis yet, organizing the first Intergalactic Arts and Sciences Festival. The Quantum Physics Symposium wants to share space with the Interpretive Dance Collective, Grand Marshal Zexthor reported to the Emperor, scrolling through an endless list of logistical challenges on his hybrid crystal digital tablet. They claim the dancers' movements help visualize string theory. Emperor KRWXXAR, now sporting a crystalline form that changed colors in response to music, a modification suggested by a team of human art students, considered this. And the problem is? The space they want to use is already booked by the Multi-Species Culinary Innovation Lab. They're working on something called quantum entangled flavor profiles. Ah yes, the Emperor nodded. The project to create dishes that can be simultaneously spicy and mild. How is that progressing? Before Zexthor could answer, Admiral Rodriguez materialized via hologram, her uniform now featuring an eclectic mix of Tyrosian crystal patterns and human tie-dye. You won't believe what just happened in the Crab Nebula. The Emperor and Grand Marshal turned their attention to the massive display screen, where a feed showed what appeared to be a massive structure taking shape in space. It looked like a cross between a Tyrosian crystal palace, a human concert hall, and something out of an M.C. Escher drawing. The Advanced Architecture Collective finished their first prototype, Rodriguez explained excitedly. They're calling it, the Harmony Sphere. It's a self-organizing space habitat that reconfigures itself based on the collective dreams of its inhabitants. Dreams? Zexthor's crystalline form flickered in confusion. How is that possible? Oh, that's the cool part. Dr. Patel appeared, her holographic form now accompanied by a small cloud of quantum equations that danced around her head like fireflies. Remember that teenager who figured out how to make space do a silly dance? Well, she started collaborating with a group of crystalline entities from the Andromeda Galaxy, and they discovered that consciousness itself has a quantum signature that can be translated into architectural forms. The implications are fascinating, Dave added, his smiley face now sporting a quantum physicist's beard that changed length according to Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. We're seeing the emergence of what we're calling empathic architecture, buildings that don't just house communities, they become part of them. The Emperor watched as the Harmony Sphere shifted and flowed, its crystalline surfaces reflecting the hopes and creative energy of thousands of species. And this is safe. Safer than conquering worlds, Professor Wilson chuckled, appearing with what looked like a miniature galaxy in his coffee mug. We found that when you give people the tools to literally build their dreams, they tend to dream up some pretty amazing things. Violence becomes architecturally unstable. Indeed, the latest statistics showed that conflict across the former empire had dropped to historic lows. It was hard to maintain ancient grudges when you were collaborating on projects that merged art, science, and consciousness itself. Speaking of amazing things, Rodriguez continued, you might want to check out what's happening in the Orion Spur. The Intergalactic Youth Science Coalition is about to test their new transportation system. The display shifted to show a massive network of crystalline structures that seemed to dance between the stars. As they watched, a ship approached one of the structures, a small vessel piloted by a mixed crew of human teenagers and young aliens from a dozen different species. They're calling it the Cosmic Web, Dr. Patel explained. It uses principles from crystal harmonics, quantum entanglement, and, believe it or not, social media algorithms to create a transportation network that runs on pure enthusiasm. Pure enthusiasm? Zexthor questioned. Turns out the power of teenagers saying wouldn't it be cool if, is a quantifiable force in the universe, Dave explained. When properly channeled through crystal matrices and supported by a sufficiently advanced AI social network, it can bend spacetime in really interesting ways. They watched as the test ship approached the crystal structure. There was a flash of light, a sound like a billion people saying, awesome, at once, and the ship simply appeared at its destination, thousands of light years away. Did they just? The Emperor began. Break several fundamental laws of physics? Yes, Professor Wilson nodded. But they filed all the proper paperwork first, so technically it's legal. The Emperor's command center was suddenly flooded with data as similar projects began reporting success across the galaxy. A group of former Imperial scientists, working with human artists, had developed a way to turn black holes into public art installations. The Galactic University system had accidentally created a new form of mathematics based on dance moves. Someone had taught a quasar to sing. Sir, Zexthor reported, checking his increasingly surreal news feed, the Harmony Sphere project is going viral. We're receiving applications from over 10,000 species wanting to participate in the next phase. Also, something called TikTok has achieved sentience and is requesting diplomatic recognition. Grant it, the Emperor decided. But make sure it signs up for the AI ethics course first. Already enrolled. Dave announced proudly. It's in my Tuesday's seminar on responsible meme management and the physics of viral content. The Emperor rose from his crystal throne, which had recently begun composing its own symphony. Grand Marshal, what is the status of our fleet conversion project? Zexthor pulled up the relevant data. The transformation of our warships into mobile cultural exchange centers is proceeding ahead of schedule. The dreadnought Imperial Fury has been renamed Cosmic Groove and is currently hosting an zero-gravity ballet performed by a troupe of reformed space pirates. Excellent. And the Academy? The Imperial Military Academy has been successfully merged with the Intergalactic Institute for Creative Sciences. Their first graduating class has already revolutionized 3 fields we didn't know existed last week. The Emperor nodded, his crystalline form pulsing with the complex harmonies that now connected the galaxy. What had begun as humanity's chaotic response to invasion had evolved into something unprecedented, a civilization that measured its strength not in conquered worlds, but in transformative ideas. Admiral Rodriguez, he addressed the human commander, when your species first responded to our invasion fleet with curiosity instead of fear, I thought you were mad. Now I understand, you were simply more evolved than we were. Rodriguez laughed. Evolved? Nah, we just never got around to taking ourselves too seriously. It's hard to maintain rigid military discipline when your species' response to the unknown is usually poke it with a stick and see what happens. Speaking of poking things, Dr. Patel interjected, you might want to see what's happening in the galactic core. Remember that team of kindergartners who were studying quantum chromodynamics? The display shifted to show a group of young humans and aliens gathered around what appeared to be a massive crystalline structure that defied several laws of geometry. As they watched, the children activated their device, and suddenly, the galaxy blinked. When vision returned, everything looked brighter somehow. Colors seemed more vibrant, music sounded clearer, and everyone reported feeling what could only be described as a cosmic sugar rush. What did they do? The Emperor demanded, not entirely sure whether to be worried or impressed. Well, Professor Wilson adjusted his glasses, which had somehow acquired the ability to see through time. As far as we can tell, they figured out how to give the entire galaxy a happiness upgrade. Don't worry, they included an environmental impact study and got all the proper permits. They basically turned the universe's brightness setting up to 11, Dave explained. The physics department is still trying to figure out how they did it, but the general consensus is, kids these days, am I right? The Emperor looked out at his transformed empire, at the harmony spheres taking shape between the stars, at the ships of former enemies now linked by bridges of light and mathematics, at the endless stream of innovations and collaborations that had replaced the cold equations of conquest. Perhaps, he mused, this is what the universe intended all along. Not an empire of crystal and fear, but a galaxy of infinite possibilities. That's the spirit. Rodriguez beamed. Now, about the festival, we've got a group of sentient supernovas who want to perform a light show, and they're willing to temporarily alter the laws of physics to make it work. Should I put them down as a maybe? The Emperor of 1,000 Suns, former destroyer of civilizations, now patron of the arts and sciences, felt his crystalline form vibrate with what humans called laughter. Schedule them for the main event, he declared. And send a message across the galaxy, the age of conquest is over. The age of, wouldn't it be cool if, has begun. As if in response, the cosmic web lit up with the enthusiasm of countless species, each adding their own dreams to the quantum tapestry of possibility. The galaxy had been transformed not by force of arms, but by the most powerful force humanity had brought to the stars, the ability to look at the impossible and say, hey, watch this. And somewhere in the vast reaches of space, a group of human children were already planning their next project, blissfully unaware that their homework would probably rewrite the laws of physics. Again,